Thrive Odyssey. Thank you so much for coming here.
It's my pleasure. I'm super excited about the conversation.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. So, just who are you?
Who am I? That is such a great question. Um, like in life, in business, do you want to put some parameters around it or just let me go wild?
Whatever comes out. Let's go wild, just like my hair.
Just like your
Yeah.
hair is
It's
wild.
actually the first time I'm having the hair down, so for that.
Really?
Yeah.
I think it's perfect for wild. So it's interesting because now at my age, late 50s, which is hard to say, I don't really know who I am. You know what I mean? I've done a lot of things in my life and I've had a really great ride, but who I am, I think I'm just starting to inquire about that now at this point in my life. And I think that for a lot of people, they get wrapped up in the to-doingness, what they do. You know, I'm the CEO of a PR company, and that has thrived for the last 20 years. And, you know, I got my degree in chemical engineering and all of this kind of mixed stuff. But here at this point, I don't know who I am.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yes. Yeah. Because I think I got caught up a lot in the cultural conversation about finding your purpose. Like there's a lot about there. I think we missed the boat on that. I think that people spend all this time finding their purpose in life, and they think so much that it is what they do, and it is so much about who they are and their beingness. And I've learned now that for me, my purpose is being with people and being great and having them know and be acknowledged. You know, we just got back. Hey, Jakey. We just got back from Croatia and we were in this hotel with these amazing people. And I haven't seen people that happy in so long. And the great thing is I could be with them and I could make their day no matter what the interaction was about. And I look back at my life, and that's really has been my purpose. And I've done some things, some really cool things. And if people would look at me and say, oh, your purpose is getting messages out into the world that make a difference. And I've done all of that. But I think my purpose is being great with people in the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think for a lot of young people, they get sucked up in that figuring out the to-doingness. Well, you can do anything once you figure out who you're meant to be, your beingness. And I think all of us have that kind of that essence that really make us who we are, like it's in our DNA. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fascinating. It's like it's a very yellow way of you to look at life. It's like doesn't have any structure. Everything goes. There is a core.
Yes.
That's who
yes,
you are, but
yeah.
but nothing can actually put a cap on it. And this is it. And I'm gonna stick to this. And it's actually really interesting because I got lost. You know, in like all of us, I got lost into so many things, and I was like, I am this and I am that, and I forgot who I actually was in the end of the day. Especially, you know, living in an era like this, you have to do things in order for you to survive that you might not like.
Well, I think that if you're doing things that are an expression of your beingness, I think that you will find satisfaction, even if culturally people say that it's not the most desirable thing to be doing. So, I mean, I could be a barista, I could be a greeter at a store, I could do all of that, and I would leave there being fulfilled. Now, I wouldn't make as much money, but I would still being fulfilled, and I think that's the important piece.
Very interesting. So how do you what is your way of finding fulfillment being a barista? Like, is it like, what is your technique here?
So, you know, when you're with people and you have a conversation or you're in their presence and you walk away and there's more life or energy there, that starts to get out the beingness. So I can be like asking people what kind of coffee that they want. And I know in that moment of connectedness, their lives will be changed just because it's human to human. And that is what I do with our clients or potential clients is I'm with them in a way. And that's not everybody's expression. That's my expression. And you probably, if you look, there are those interactions where you connect and you walk away more empowered, enlivened, and energetic. And then you try to fit that into some kind of doing. And sometimes it fits and sometimes it doesn't fit.
You know, my let's say my monkey mind wants
Yeah.
to, figure it
Yeah.
out. So just like simplify it, if there's, or let's say just to give it some bullet points.
Yeah.
You're saying presence.
Yes.
It's really important.
Right.
Having the intention to actually provide value for somebody else. Is that
Yeah.
right as well?
Well, it is really what is your expression. I love you bring the monkey mind up, because that monkey mind is actually very groomed by culture, society, the media, what we do as publicists. So you think that monkey mind is you, and it is not you. That little voice in your head is absolutely not you. And we listen to it like it is us telling us this is good, that's bad. It's really in the silence that we find ourselves.
This is getting deep. Just started 5 minutes. All right. Have you been to like a meditation retreat or anything like that before?
I have. And I think meditation is a great way to access it, but I think there's so many ways to access silence.
Like what?
I think sitting out, looking at this beautiful view with, for me, a cup of coffee, maybe a cup of tea, in those moments, listening to the lovely birds chirping, reading a good book, I think can actually have you be silent. Being with people in a way can actually cause silence, but mostly it's just you, just being with you. And letting whatever happens just happens. Those thoughts just go by. That's where the silence dwells. Be here now. And let all the other stuff go on, because too often in meditation we try to control that too. Which is awesome.
Yeah, it depends on what type of meditation we're talking here. But it's really interesting. From my experience, I went to Vipassana for 10 days, and it was 6 months ago.
Yeah.
I came back and I was like, actually did nothing. But then after 6 months, I looked back in my life and I was like, wait a second, I'm so different.
Yeah.
Like I used to be extremely, again, on the green side and just kind of like go vegetarianism, veganism, and don't touch meat, it's haram, whatever. And I was like, let me try the meat one more time.
Yeah.
I tried it and I was like, wait, my body loves it.
Yeah.
And actually I'm gaining weight. I gained 7 kilos for the past 3 months.
Yeah.
I'm going to the gym now. I feel a lot more active. I feel a lot better than ever before. Because I was able to sit down 10 days, not be filled with any information, not be filled by no one's thoughts, and just be me with me.
And I think that the ability to human beings to do that day without going to a 10-day retreat, ongoing in their life, is available to them. It's a great structure, and I think it's great, but you can, moment by moment, if you check in with yourself and actually question, like, does this work for me today? Does eating meat work for me today? And also look to see where are those places where you're super dogged. Wherever you think you have the answer, you don't.
Or the answer could always change, no? It's variable.
It absolutely could change. But that I know is what stops the flow of life. And it's particularly prevalent, I've seen, and maybe it's because I'm just old and you look at the other generation, is it's particularly prevalent in people that are younger, they think they know, and I see where it stops life for them. They don't see opportunities because they know.
It's like when you say I know, you immediately stop the blessing.
Done.
It doesn't even matter what it's about.
Done.
Like even if it's about a topic that you're master at, like let's say PR and sales for you say I know, maybe there was one thing in the bottom of that that would have changed your life for good. But because there is this ego that's supposed to say I know, it just stops it.
It absolutely. I just had an incident. We hired this woman. We connected on LinkedIn, and she just wrote a book. I congratulated her on writing the book, and she said, I'm just curious about PR. I don't know much about it. I said, would you be willing to have a conversation? Sure. Well, I got on the call, and it wasn't that she wanted to hire her. She was looking for a job, and she was so great. I said, great. We don't have a position for you, but you're so great. Why don't we figure out something to do together? So we hired her, and she came in. She was with our company 3 weeks, and I get this 2-page document about everything we're doing wrong and how she could fix it. And I was like, wow, That is so, and I emailed her. I said, your arrogance is breathtaking. And because you haven't even stopped to look at what you don't know. You think you know us already after 3 weeks. Not how have you created a company that has sustained through economic downturns, COVID, all that? How have you created a business that's been thriving in that? There was no like wondering or curiosity about that. She just knew what she could do after 3 weeks to fix my company that I've been running for 22 years. But that happens a lot, I feel, with the younger generation. And I think that they're kind of groomed to think that knowing is the best way. Knowing, and it's kind of interesting because that's that immediate return with social media and everything, knowing, hacking your life, right? How do you hack your life? I think that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
Yeah, because
it's like they're afraid of not being the person who doesn't know. They're afraid of putting their ego on the line and being not good enough. So everything they do needs to look like they know it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like you see a photo of like a young 20 whatever year old stood next to a Ferrari,
yes,
like, in a perfect suit,
yes,
or whatever, and like it just doesn't correlate because at that age you're not supposed to know everything.
Yes.
And I find like I've had more success in life when I've realized, just been humble enough to be like, okay, like I'm not the shit, even though some things I do know, some things I don't, and like it seems to be easier to navigate the world that way, but it's not for everybody. I think like it's easier just to be like, yeah, everything's fine, and be comfortable in your ego, but not putting yourself on the line and having your ego shattered.
Yeah.
And I think maybe why we all relate is because we had our ego shattered from a young age many times. And like that's what gave us the sense of like knowing, or the sense of openness about life, which a lot of people don't have. It's like a fear.
Yeah, if I could say, if there's one skill that you could do which will change your life forever, change your relationship to uncertainty. Begin to love uncertainty.
Yep.
That is how we are controlled, is fear and uncertainty. And we as human beings, that's how we're controlled, because we feel like our survival depends on knowing, but it's actually the opposite.
It's like embracing that uncertainty as part of human life.
Once we know, life doesn't happen anymore. It's solid, it's fixed. The flow's gone. We're not really living anymore in that moment. Life is about being uncertain, discovering, being on a quest, being on a journey.
Yep.
Right? That's what life's about. Once you stop and know something, you're not really living anymore. It's not what we're designed to do. I don't know where we got so off track, but we're really off track.
Well, if you want to get us cancelled, I have a few things to put on the table to say why. But let's not do this again. So actually, I have a question that I've always wanted to ask many people. This is just, I think, a good time to start it with you.
Yeah.
What do you think it is for like the essence of that thing that makes people be like, I want to thrive? You know, there's some people who go on like the heroic journey.
Yes.
What do you think that is like motivated by?
So I think that is who we are as human beings and why we signed up for this journey. It is for us. We signed up for this journey to actually discover and to fulfill something. And somehow along the way that gets co-opted. And it gets co-opted, I feel, by people and forces that actually want to control the human and control that human spirit. And the way that they do that is they've had us buy into that knowing is good. It's not. Only in not knowing is really, do you fulfill that human potential. if you ask anyone that's been successful, they're all going to tell you it's the journey, but no one believes them. When you're sitting here, you're starting out, this is the best it's ever going to get. But we live like when we have X in our bank account, we have this apartment, that flat, whatever it is that we want, then it will have turned out. And the problem we get to at that is like, holy shit, that's just bankrupt. And that's why people who have money are so miserable for the most part. That's the big joke. We spend all this time being successful with money, and you get there and you're like, wait, is this all there is? And we've been so driven, we haven't been paying attention to the journey, the quest. Yeah.
So it's like the moment that the person realizes that this is why I came here, and then they realize that, that's what really initiates them to go through everything.
I think the more that they can kind of block out everything that we're told, all the grooming and everything, and listen to themselves in the silence, that's where I feel that they get access to that, whatever it is for them, why they're here and why they signed up for this crazy adventure called life.
But this is really interesting, because what we're talking about is living in your body, right?
Yeah.
Like, rather than living in the head.
Well, it's the head and the body, the heart, all of that combined. It's not that little voice, though. See, that's where people get really, I mean, you can call it whatever you want, but that's really where people get mixed up in this false reality. And then that little voice in your head that says, oh, hey, if I had a Ferrari, if I had a hot girlfriend, if I had $1 million, if. But that's not you saying that. But we begin to relate like it is, and then we get wrapped up in that energy, and then we begin to relate to it like it is us, and it really messes us up.
That's so true.
Yeah. I mean, you can see it up there.
It also keeps us alive at the same time. Like, you could call it like the ego, but without that voice, like, then like we can't survive in the world if we don't know who we are.
Maybe.
Like, we need a bit of both in a way.
Maybe not. I'd invite you to actually...
That's the final step, right?
Maybe not. Because I don't know if that really... I don't know if what we've been told about surviving is absolutely true. We're living in an artificial... In the money game, that artificial construct, absolutely that is the truth. But if you look at like nature... That's not true. Nature gives us everything we need. It's all there. It's just been wrapped up by this false construct, and that we need that to survive. I don't know if it's true.
How do we do both together?
Well, you do have to be two-headed, because if you want to be in this world and not want to go live in the middle of the forest, right? You have to be two-headed about it, but you don't have to buy into that game that you need that to survive, because I just don't know if that's true.
But this is really interesting, because you are a wealthy person and you made it yourself.
Yes.
So how were you able to actually achieve that?
So for me,
and not have it take over your mind. Like, you seem also very peaceful and balanced. And I spend, or would spend, the same amount of money now that I spent when I was in my 20s, making 5% of what I make now. Now, I'm married, and so my husband has a different relationship to mine. So we have really nice things, but none of those things really give me satisfaction. Like, it's great. It gives him satisfaction, which is awesome. And I love that. But for me, I've just never been really wrapped up into that.
So what kept you, like, if I may ask, what was your intention for creating the PR company? Was it money, or was it like...
No, it was to get up under those people that were committed to making a difference and help them getting their message out into the world. And we saw that if you want to change what people are talking about, which is how you make a difference, one of the best ways to do that was change what the media was talking about. So that's why we went into PR, was really we saw that that was the best access to help people really truly make a difference, because the only way you change it is change the conversation. That's it. And the media is such an important piece of that. Although it's changing right now, the truth is that it's influencers and media and influencers are completely different. So we're in an interesting world now in navigating that, because we have to play both the influencer game and the media game. But it's different. And I'm a dinosaur. And I don't know how influencers think. And I don't really have an interest in that. That's why we hired someone younger in their 30s to navigate the next phase of our company, which is that blend.
So because you had this extra fuel in you to change the world in a positive way, and you were so dedicated to it, that's what kept you going and made you successful as well. Would you say that fueled your success on the money side?
So this is going to sound a little weird, but we're going to go here.
We like weird.
So I believe that Wasabi is an entity that we created and has a life, and we're in partnership and in dance with that life.
Yes! This is getting cool.
So it's not me. I don't feel like I did that like a personality. It feels like Wasabi wanted to be birthed. We birthed Wasabi, and then we kept listening for what wanted to be created, not what we want to do to make a difference, but what wanted to be created in the world. I'm a big believer in actually listening. You know, like when we were here, you guys began to listen for what would make a difference for me and my company, right? And that's where something happens called great. And that's where I find people are the most effective, when they're listening for and looking around what wants to happen, not even that they have to cause it or do it, but what wants to happen, often through them. And then they're just kind of a conduit for them, but then they take it on personally. Like, I don't take my success personally, like I did that. Like me, I feel blessed, but mostly it's just because I kept listening for what wanted to be created. And this is the life that life wanted for me. So I don't, about the money and all of that, I don't even think it's kind of like mine, because it's not. The money, none of it, that's mine.
So are you saying you're channeling here?
I'm not saying that I'm channeling. I think it's more about that I'm actually listening. Maybe you could say that. I guess you could kind of put it in that framework of channeling. I'm not that woo-woo scene. I mean, I'm woo-woo, but come on, I've got my boundaries here. I don't think I'm going. I don't think I want to go in the channeling realm. I kind of like the listening realm. But yeah, I listen for like what wants to happen. Like Wasabi, Michelle's the one. My business partner was the one who had the PR background. And when she told me what PR was, I was like, this is really cool. So then I was like, this fulfills what I was curious about, is how do you shift the conversation on a country level or a global level? And that's when she started to talk about PR. And I was like, this is cool, because I had no idea what PR was 22 years ago. I had some idea about marketing, but PR, no.
What is it? And can you give a basic explanation of what it is, and also why it resonates with you a lot?
So PR for me, so what we do is we do media relations. So clients hire us to go out and enroll the media to do a story on them. So we're squarely in marketing. There's earned, owned, and paid. Paid is advertising, right? No matter Google ads, Facebook ads, whatever, ads in a magazine. Then there is your own, which is your owned assets, which is your blog, your website, your podcast. You have complete control over that. So you have control over advertising, you have control over your own assets, so to speak. And then there's PR, and that is earned. And that is where people cover you, talk about you by virtue of what you're doing and what you're up to. And that's squarely where we are. So our clients are committed to doing good. So we'll pitch the media and say, hey, you should cover our client. They're doing really cool things. So they'll interview them about, their book or their philosophies or their courses or anything. So that's what we do in the paid. And they all have their place in marketing. Paid is really great for driving leads. Owned is all about closing the deal. And earned is all about creating awareness for something. And they all have their place. And if you're looking to fulfill something, it's good to know which of the levers you want to be dialing in to actually fulfill what you're committed to fulfilling. Did that?
Yeah. And what is it about that you love?
So what I loved about that, I've always loved conversations and conversations that make a difference. I don't like just chit chat for chit chat's sake. Conversations that truly make a difference. And so that's, Michelle says the stories you consume you. So we wanted to actually impact the narrative out there that was really grooming people and affecting people. And, it's really spun out of control because a lot of people are just listening to the narrative. Now, in the United States, it's particularly polarized. We have two. You've got Fox News on one side, you got CNN in the other. And basically, it depends on what camp. The problem with that is that they aren't thinking. They're just buying into the stories that they're fed. So what we're really looking to is introduce the conversation called, hey, why don't you question? Why don't you think about this? How does it feel for you? Does it really work for you to be vegan anymore? Like what you said is a great example. Ongoingly question, does it work? Because for a lot of vegans, they're so dogmatic. Like, you eat meat, you're evil, and you're going to hell, basically, right?
Yep.
And so they just sing that tune, never ever stopping to, wait, is that true? And does that fit for me? And does it fit for the world? So that's why it's just what I got so excited about it, because it's a way to have conversations that impact the world.
And how was it starting such a thing? Because as you're talking about it, it sounds so complicated.
Yes.
But okay, what was your first step? What did you do? How did you do it? Okay, but actually, let's go a little bit, from your book.
Yes.
The story that it's a bit woo-woo, but...
Is that when I was sitting naked in a hot tub? Do you want to go back there?
I mean, yeah, let's
want.
Get there. That's where I want to go exactly.
The possibilities are endless.
The possibilities are endless. So I've had a really interesting ride where my degree is in chemical engineering. And the reason that I chose to become a chemical engineer was because I love chemistry. And I was talking to my high school teacher and I said, I love chemistry. I want to be a chemist. She said, oh my God, chemists don't make anything. And I was like, oh shit, that's not good. So she said, you want to be a chemical engineer. So I went to college, got my degree in chemical engineering, and it was pretty clear right then I had no interest in going to work in an oil refinery. And at that time, that's the companies that were hiring chemical engineers. And I was working for a company called Landmark. They're the world's largest personal growth and development company.
How old were you at this age?
So at this age, I was 26 at this age. And I had participated in their programs. I was sitting in a program and people were sharing about reconnecting with their father after 20 years and just these deep conversations that they had bought into that were running their life, and it changed in a weekend. And I was like, this is what I want to give my life to. So I went to work for that company, and I really mastered enrollment at kind of an individual level, and I really led a program called Self-Expression and Leadership, which is how do you impact a community. Well, Michelle was one of my participants when I was leading the program. She was a pain in the butt, but we became friends. And I was like, we should go into business together. And she said, doing what? And I said, I don't know. We'll figure it out. So, and we were living in Ohio at that time. And I said, oh, by the way, I'm moving to North Carolina. Will you move with me? And she's like, I don't know. She's like, where is it? So I said, it's in this little town called Saluda. And she looked it up, and there was a whitewater river nearby, notorious one. And she's like, okay, great. So we moved to this tiny little town in North Carolina. It's literally like the middle of Hungary, right? Like rural town. And I'll never forget that we were doing a campaign with Bill Clinton at the time, and we couldn't even get cell phone reception. We were doing a rotary landline. Do you know landlines?
Yeah.
You do?
Yep.
Yeah, okay, good. So it was a landline, not even push button, wrote a picking up and talking to Clinton's office about this. So, but it was when we were driving back and forth from Ohio to North Carolina, because we were renovating a house to move into, we were talking about, okay, we're going to go into business together. We don't know what we're going to do. And she said, what about PR? And I was like, well, what is PR? And she started to talk about what PR was. And I remember I got goosebumps. I was like, that's what I want to do. Because I could see the difference that could actually make. So we moved to North Carolina in this little town, and we started a PR company. And then I just started looking, where are people that would need PR? So at that time there were want ads. Do you guys, when you're looking for a job, are there want ads? Like you can say, hey, I want to be a developer. There's a place you can go.
On a newspaper?
Yeah.
Yeah, with newspaper,
yeah,
right. Okay, good. So what I did is I looked online and I looked for companies that were hiring a publicist. And I just called them up and said, hey, have you ever thought about hiring an independent publicist? They're cheaper, better. So we landed a national account the first month out.
Whoa.
Just
having the guts to go forwards and just call them and be like,
yeah,
do you want this thing?
Totally. But also looking to see where people would need that service. Because I've shared this with other people and they're like, yeah. But was a brilliant a moment of aha that I had that came into me. I don't know, me, the universe, whatever. It's like, oh, hey, people are out there hiring publicists. Why don't I just call them and say, hey, do you want to just hire an independent publicist rather than an expensive publicist employee? And so that's what I did. And then I just started cold calling. I looked for connectors. So nonprofits was an area that we wanted to work in, given that's a place where people are committed to making a difference. So I called this company where they do direct mail. So they mail people for fundraising for nonprofits. I had this conversation with Corrine. She was from New York, from Paris, and fabulous conversation. She said, I don't like PR. I'm like, okay, good. She's like, I just don't think it works. I don't want it. So, great. If we ever need a publicist, we'll call you. Great. Didn't think much of it. And then out of the blue, she calls us and said, hey, I'm working for SOS Children's Villages, the world's largest children's welfare organization. And they're looking for a publicist. And I'm like, okay, great. So we contact them and they said, great, you need to send an RFP. Michelle put in this great RFP, and then we landed that account. But it's more the thinking about it and then, like you say, in action about it. And I think that's where knowing gets you into trouble.
Right.
People know this or that rather than being open to stuff that crosses your path. Like what you just did was brilliant, right? We're having a conversation. I'm thinking about doing podcasts, and you're like, oh, hey, guys, by the way, we have this great company. We've got this whole team that can hear. But listening for that and then being open to support people is how I think everything kind of lines up.
It sounds like your journey so far up to this point, you were open enough to listen and be like, she was like, let's do a PR company. It was like,
that's it.
You could have at that point been like, no, I know like this is going to work. I don't like this. It's just that little openness.
Yeah.
And life kind of guides you where you need to go. And you don't always have to go straight in there.
And knowing when is enough. So when we started the PR company, we did everything under the sun. Everything skill set that we have. We could do crisis communication, which is a particular thing. We could do mediation. We could do literally all of those kind of things. And I got this is so confusing because people don't know how to refer us.
Yeah.
We are going through that right now as we're speaking.
Yeah. So
yes.
It is there. The biggest mistake that I make is people think that it's better to go wider when it's better to go narrow. Look at the market you want to serve, because then you can tap into what they absolutely need.
Yep.
I'll be talking to people there's so many creative people here in Hungary, and they're really great and everything. And I'm like, our clients, what they really need is they've got a book and they need someone to take that and put that on the website to create products. We're not talking rock science. I've said that to a million people, and none of them pick up oh, hey, let me figure that out for you. Let's figure that out what your clients need. That kind of thing. But most of the young kids think, oh no, I want to do X, and then they are not open to the possibility of what's right in front of them.
Yep. They want to take the long road.
They want to talk or they know that this is the right way. You know, like a lot of people we've hired, social media people come in and said, you're doing it wrong because you're on Facebook. You should absolutely not be on Facebook. You should be on TikTok. And I'm like, but our clients are 50 plus, mostly women, and they like Facebook because it's the only social media platform where people are actually educating, entertaining simultaneously. Now, I know some of them do it to some point, but Facebook is really a sense of community, and people are having a conversation. If you look at the comments, it's usually thoughtful comments. It's not like a thumbs up emoji or a fire emoji or a heart emoji. It's not the Insta life. Yeah. So then they know, and so it just cuts down possibility. I'm like, no, I'm not going to work with you because there's no exploration. And it's not that I'm not open to thinking differently, but when you come at me like this person that we hired with a 2-page, like what you're doing wrong with the company, I'm like, probably shouldn't be working together anymore.
Would you say like you're a creative person?
Would I say that I'm creative? I think I'm very creative with the language.
Okay.
And how to communicate.
You have the spark of creativity in there. You like to
do.
Innovate. You like to make. I think like if you need to
Yeah.
approach someone like that, you have to like honor their ideas. Otherwise, you're just gonna piss them off.
She did. You know? And I sent back an email. Like I say, your arrogance is breathtaking. We should really look at whether we should be together. Yeah. Because she had a comment about what was wrong with every employee and not honoring who we were. That, you know, because we work with women in Serbia, and we've been working with them for like 7 years. English is not their first language. And so we've actually trained them in a particular way. Their mothers to stay home with their kids. And she was arrogantly saying, you should do this, not taking into consideration who those women were, their life, and their capabilities and their skill sets. They're freaking amazing. But that's, once again, not knowing. Drives me crazy.
There's this really interesting thing about you that you're really good at communication, conversations, and you're very charismatic in your own way. And you are
very good looking.
Absolutely, 100%. I told you, I don't know what you're doing here, but you do not look like a 50-year-old man. On top of that, there you go.
So
charisma. But
yes,
there is one thing that I've noticed about you, that is that you, as you speak, maybe some of the things you say doesn't land. But 5 years ago when we met for the first time, I was very lost. And when I had the time on my own, you just came to my mind and you were like, a conversation can change everything. And that was like, aha. Yeah. And that did change my life.
Yeah.
It didn't land when you said it to me 5 years ago, but it landed like 6 months later.
Yeah.
So what is it that you have done that made you that good at communication and charisma? Is this something that you always had, or is it something that you developed? Or if so, how did you get there?
I think that the biggest asset to that is obsessive compulsive disorder and depression. And why I think that those were the two biggest gifts for me, because God, holy cow, I have no idea what's happening over there in that other person's world. Nothing. So I'm super curious about what is over there, and I listen in a particular way because of that. Most people think that they know what's going on in another person, and then they react to that. But I am pretty clear. I have no idea what the hell's happening over there in that world. Yeah.
It seems like compassion and empathy make you a listener on another level.
Yeah.
You're listening in an emotional way, so you can see the person how they are, and you can like feel how they feel. So you're better in, if you apply it right, in a business sense, because you can you can understand. Like I think like that's a valuable thing that people think, you know, business is all about being like a stern motherfucker who doesn't take any shit, and like it doesn't always work like that, you know.
It doesn't always work that, but it's the combination that's the winner, right? Because they're like, for me, I think I would be better served to have some of that driven motherfucker, take no prisoners kind of thing. So I think I would be better served with a little bit more of that. It's a balance kind of thing. It's not about being like me. It's about finding your combination, so to speak. And it's different for everybody, but for sure I could do better having a little bit more of that. Well, better. I think I'd be more effective if you look at like results in the world. Like if I had a little bit more of that, we probably could be double our size, probably. But I'm not interested in that, but it could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've got to know how to like make those boundaries, but also how to like understand people and to listen.
But it all comes back to what we've been mentioning throughout the whole podcast, which is being here, right? It's
being in the silence. Being in the silence. And that's where I think human beings are meant to dwell. And we've just been co-opted. I don't know why we've been co-opted, but we've been co-opted, and we're heading more and more in that direction. Our attention is now the new commodity. For what reason? I don't know. I'm not much of a like doomsday kind of thing, but I can absolutely see it in action. Like I can see when I'm on the subway or anything like that, a good 50% of the people, their full attention is on their cell phone.
50%.
50%. Yeah, that's on a good
You're
job.
being optimistic.
Mostly it's like 8. I'm kind of I don't want to really think that we've gone so far down the rabbit hole.
Okay.
Yes.
Anybody that I see that's successful, success not by the way of money, let's say they're relaxed as they are and they're really enjoying life and they're actually up there, are really looking forward to make a difference in a good way with other people.
Yeah.
And I think that does really help you to generate this peace inside of you. Just like, I mean, I'm not really far as you guys are, but in my journey of dog training and going there, I'm like, if I die today, I'll die happy because I've changed so many people's life.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what really gives me the peace. Not the money, not the success, not where I came from and so on. It's really fascinating that it's so simple to see, yet so hard to grasp for so many people.
Yeah. I think that's absolutely the case. And I think that we're so enamored with happiness. And we think that that's where fulfillment is, and it's just not.
No. What's fulfillment then?
It's a good question, right? But it's not having I don't think it's having a happy life and our addiction to happy and easy. I feel like the women I love the most is Pema Chodron.
Yep.
You know her, she's
Tibetan Buddhist.
Yep, Tibetan Buddhist. Go to the places that you fear. That is the most powerful advice. It's being uncomfortable, being comfortable with being uncomfortable. Those, for me, are the most fulfilled people.
Yep.
It's not the people that have craved and happy and surrender. No, there's no fulfillment there. There's something about discovering oneself and being okay with the uncertainty, being okay with those things that you fear. That's where true fulfillment happens, because that's where the human spirit is really unleashed, because you're boundless then. You're not controlled. So I think fulfillment is in those moments when you're unbounded, when you're not fearful, where you're not avoiding being uncomfortable. You're loving being uncomfortable.
Do you think I think throughout all the sorrow and misery I've been through, it kind of trained me to realize that in those moments I need to go into it. Yes. And the more I start to do that, the more I kind of I know how to deal with life in a way.
You're fulfilled. You're fulfilled in those moments. And so for me is, if I could go back to my younger self and tell my younger self anything, it would really go to those places that you fear, and I think it was Eleanor Roosevelt, who was the president, wife of one of our presidents, says, do something you fear every day. I was scared to make those calls.
Yeah.
I was scared. But that's where I was fulfilled. And I think a lot of the times we've been groomed now to be comfortable. Don't upset anyone. Don't say that's the same. That it's really the world's responsibility to make you feel okay. And so we're leaning towards more about being robots, where we think that the world is designed to take care of us and to be comfortable. No, that's not life. Life's to be uncomfortable. So the more that I think you take on being uncomfortable, that's where true fulfillment is. I mean, if you think about it, when you go through the eye of a needle, right, and you confront that, and you go through the dark night of the soul, there's a moment that you feel that boundless, and that's where fulfillment lives, true fulfillment. Not all the other, cars, yeah. So I think for a blessing of the OCD also is that I have to confront being uncertain at such a interesting level, which has me savor that in a different way.
And this is really interesting because most of the people who are around you who love you truly, when they see you going through depression, they always want to help you.
Yes.
And I think it's the worst thing that one can possibly do.
It's the worst thing. It's absolutely the worst thing to do. Yes. Basically, this is going to be a little bit harsh, but it's abusive. It's abuse, and trying to protect people. Like, I was bullied unmercifully in high school.
Oh yeah.
But now there's so much anti-bullying and stuff. No, I was big enough. I was strong enough. These kids are big enough. They're strong enough to say, you got this. Not like stop bullying and everything like that. We're making ourselves believe that we're not capable. We are so capable. And you're absolutely right. Now, it doesn't mean that you don't want to be there with empathy and compassion when someone's going through depression and all that. That is different than trying to fix it and change it for them.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
And like even in my journey of being depressed, which went until 24, 23, I had to suffer.
Yes.
I needed that suffering.
You do.
Like, there was no way for me to get out unless I went through it. And I had to cry. I had to be like, okay, what now?
Yeah.
Are you finished? No, one more. Okay, one more year. Are you finished? Okay, one more year.
Yeah.
And now what? Okay, actually, I've seen the end of it.
Yeah.
There's no reason for me to be tense.
Yeah.
And that's the best solution to depression, to allow people to be depressed. And one more thing that I've noticed with this whole thing, because I've seen a lot of depressed people as I grew up with the emo hair, you can imagine, was that people sometimes identify as depressed, but there's nothing wrong with them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very interesting conversation, because what they start saying is, I am X.
Yep.
No, there are thoughts that you're having, feelings having, it's the same, but that is not you. It's an experience that you're having. But when you make it that it is you, then it all gets collapsed, and it's so disempowering for people. Really, it's we've got to change the narrative, I think, for humanity around that being comfortable, and that we need to protect and take care of everybody, because it's become unbelievably toxic. They say that this is toxic, right? But what's so interesting is what we're doing is so toxic. The cancel culture is just out of control. And what they're saying is that person that's being canceled, their opinion, their thoughts, their feelings don't matter. And the truth is, there's no way to take care of everybody. It's just insanity. It makes nobody taken care of.
But do you think that there's actually an agenda in that?
Oh, we're going to go there.
We can go there.
Wait, Sita, are we going to go there? Oh, great.
Well,
now you're going to get me canceled. What the hell?
We go wherever we want. We've not been cancelled yet.
I do think I do feel that there are people, and I do feel that want to control and feel like it's in the best interest of humanity for certain people to make the decision. I think, who was it? One of the presidents, was it Rockefeller, I think, created our Department of Education, which oversees our education system. And what he says is education is not designed to have people think. It's actually to create a good workforce.
That's why I always ran away.
Yes. And there are Edward Bernays, who was the godfather of PR and the nephew of Sigmund Freud. What he believed that a few people, elite, should actually decide for the masses because they were incapable of making decisions for themselves. That's why PR was really born.
You know what? I don't disagree with that. I feel like part of it, there's a whole bunch of people who keep the world running who really like need to be taught how to think. Otherwise, they will probably cause harm to themselves or other people. I think like there's definitely part of that in there.
But that's also like a traditional approach to it. I think what we want to go now is to empower people to develop their own agencies.
I think I agree with you completely, because they are self-harming themselves in a socially acceptable way.
Yeah.
This is self-harming. Every time you pick up the phone and your attention goes there, you're actually harming yourself. Every time you are being groomed by that, you are absolutely harming yourself. And what it is, it's not like necessarily physical harm, but mentally what's happening is you're buying into this false reality that you're going to be happy, which is just having us be more unhappy. And it's why, I don't know in the rest of the world, but in the United States, suicide among teens is going through the roof because they actually believe that this is what life should look like. And then when their life doesn't look like, and this voice says, hey, you're not happy, and they don't check in with themselves, then it leads to all kinds of like mischief in the world. So I don't know if there's any nefarious like control and everything, but I do feel like we're heading in a particular way, and why we're heading in that way, I don't know, but I do think it's something that we do need to wake up to.
But nobody is doing it.
No.
Right. Nobody's explaining the fact that, okay, like I understood that as I lived away from my phone for a period of time, 2-3 weeks, I was like, wait a second.
Right.
That is not life.
Right.
Right. I was like, this is in front of me. There's this beautiful woman I can go and talk to.
Yeah.
I don't need Tinder.
Right.
I don't need Instagram. Wait a second. It was like awakening, right?
Right. You could actually be with it. No, because life has become a shopping list. I don't know how it is in the straight community, but in the gay community, like Grindr is literally like a shopping list. It's just a shopping list of this. There's no even human beings over there for the most part relating to one another. Our lives have become like all the dystopia movies that you've seen, right? That they've created. We're there now.
Yep.
But there are people that are talking about it, and there are people that are committed to it. And I do feel like people are waking up. I do feel like people are kind of saying, oh, wait a minute. They don't have doesn't have my best interest at heart. And stuff has been disrupted, and I think people are waking up. I do. I feel hopeful. I think it's all going to turn out in the end, but I think it's going to be some bumpy times for people. Yeah.
There's also something to be said about like not going against it, like to a certain degree. Like there's people in rural villages in India and all over the world that now they can, if they've got the time, they can create their own business. They can freelance for anyone across the world. There's people who are now like connected in certain ways. Like, so there's a lot of positive benefits to it as well.
For sure.
Which like we can definitely turn it around and keep all the positive aspects of it and also avoid the negatives. But like there's always got to be that balance as well at the same time. So like it's
Well,
too hard to say, you know, it's
need
too hard to
people.
control.
You need people who are awake. That goes to what you were saying, Sina. People need to be awake and check in with themselves to be what they're choosing, because you're absolutely right. Technology is great, but it has to have, you need to be present in what you're choosing. And for most, we're not choosing it powerfully. And I think that's what's so important in people waking up. Choice. Is this your choice? What is choosing this? Who is driving your life?
But in order to wake up, do you not have to see the illusion in front of you and take that step yourself? Just like,
you absolutely have to do that, and usually it's something that will happen in your life where you go, wait, this doesn't make any sense. Wait, what is going on? Like the farmers in the Netherlands, why is the government stepping in and taking their land? What is going on? Whatever there is, right? And I think it's getting more and more insane, and that's what I have people. It's pretty obvious what's going. Like there's no mystery. Like these certain people want to control something and they're stepping in, but it's not necessarily the good for everybody. It's good for a small few, and I don't know if it's them that think. I think that they fundamentally have a belief that they're better at making the decisions. So. Is it bad, nefarious? I don't know. But I do feel like it's like the Department of Education. Let's create workers, not thinkers.
Update that one. It's been a while. Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting because I feel like I'm just saying it's really interesting to everything, but it is interesting. But it's
I
like,
am interesting.
no,
Hello.
you are 100%. That's why you're here. So it's like, as you said, it is getting very clear what's going on right now. But people, I feel like, are just desensitized.
Yes.
They're like,
They're
I
numb.
don't care, man. Like,
Right.
I'm like, who cares? It doesn't affect me. I'm like, I don't want to sound like the one who is like, you know, a crazy one who is freaking out, but it does affect you.
Yes.
Maybe it hasn't hit you in the face yet.
Yes.
AI will affect you.
Yes.
So I don't know. Is it critical thinking, or is it like people are just happy to live in their own lie, or like, are we just programmed to be like careless about it? Maybe like conspiracy theory got too big and people like kind of going against that. I'm not conspiracist in any way, but what do you think that is?
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with the power of PR. You know, like the whole thing about conspiracy theories, that was developed by the US government back in, I think it was the 70s. I can't remember what report, but they didn't want people to actually, you know, people that were telling the truth about it. They didn't want people to believe them. So just to consider they're conspiracy theorists. So right now, that's all you need to say to actually cancel someone.
Yeah.
Oh, they're a conspiracy. They're absolutely right? But yes, we've been so groomed over so many years now that we don't think. Now, when you say how do we start thinking again? And have people think again? That's an interesting question. I don't know how to do that really. I mean, having conversations. I think also the best thing we can do is live our lives awake, and have conversations with people in our lives that hopefully have them question and be open to their point of view too. Because that also is, I think, where we get shut down is, oh, you're an idiot. You believe that? That's stupid. You know, and then there's no like open conversation.
It's like the fixed mindset. It's
completely.
Like, it's your biggest enemy.
Yeah.
I think the truth could like come out in its own way. Like, so we're going down this path of basically everything's being recorded, everything's being like put into a system, and then AI is basically controlling that system.
Yeah.
I think there may be a point in humanity where like the truth cannot be hidden. Like that all events kind of match to the same revelation of truth, and then like everything is out there, whether it's good or whether it's bad is the question. But I think that's also like a possibility. You know, remember in COVID, like there was this kind of like the sensation that the world was over, but it was kind of like a little bit exciting as well because no one had no one knew where they were going. Like that sense that, oh shit, like we have no idea exactly if like an alien UFO landed tomorrow in the center of Budapest, like no one could deny that reality. So I feel like that's a possibility of like what's accumulating that could potentially happen as well.
I like that.
Do you know what I mean?
I do, and I like that, and I hope that's true.
I mean, like, it could be a bad thing. It could be like, I mean, a lot of the religious texts talk about things like this, and
I have so much faith in humanity, and I think it is absolutely all going to turn out. And it may be maybe the truth of the matter is, and I think there are more people awake than not. And the reason that it occurs that it's not is because the 10% on either side is so loud.
Yeah.
That, most of the people I talk to are they know what's going on. They know what's up. They're like, yeah, this is not something. So I feel like there could be something that happens, but I also feel like there's more people awake than not. I think this is going to turn out in humanity's favor.
Yeah.
There are more people awake than not.
Yes.
I like that.
I
hope you're right.
I absolutely believe that is the case. I think the reason it doesn't occur that way is because what we're being told, what we're being fed, and it's the noise on both sides.
There's one thing though. There's also a trap in wokeism.
There's what?
There's a trap in wokeism.
Oh, don't get me started on wokeism, please. That's another 10-hour conversation about that. It's just another trap that keeps people asleep in a really big way.
Yeah.
It's actually quite frightening because we say to another person that you are not big enough to handle whatever it is. It doesn't mean that you don't want to be present. It's just like I was sharing with you. Dan Henry is the guy I follow on social media. He's a bright kid and very in tune, and was talking about that. The picture of the woman, photograph, beautiful woman, swimsuit on the cover, and it's being banned because it's unrealistic. And he's like, how is this being banned that it's unrealistic? Because I go to the gym and I see women like that all over the place. It is realistic, but we're actually having it be like that is not achievable. That's what we're saying. We as human beings are not achievable. Want to, not want to, that is not the point here. Be whatever weight you want to be. But to say that being thin is banned it just creates this world like they control what is right and that person over there can't handle. Like, I am not big enough to handle being bullied.
Yeah.
I did. I am. And you can't create a world which takes care of everybody or have a world that takes care of nobody. We as human beings are so much stronger. We should be teaching our kids rather than, interpersonal, reaching that silence, making choices, being stronger than, not listening to narrative, all those kind of things. But this cancel and wokeism is an issue. And I think it really hurts people, particularly the people that we're trying to protect in the long run. But for sure, I don't have the answer. I think it's worth the conversation and people being willing to have the conversation without jumping to conclusions. Like, you can't even ask questions. There are certain questions that you can't even ask anymore.
Watch how we're gonna get canceled.
It's patronizing.
You can't even ask those questions. How Joe Rogan stays on is just amazing because he is asking those questions. And he has a huge, huge following, but they want to cancel him. But yes, so if we can't have those conversations, where does that lead us? It leads us to just listening to the narrative we're told. Yeah.
Also, like the idea that everything's corrupt and there is a system.
Yeah.
Is only like a kind of Western thought.
Yeah.
Like if you look at like Buddhism, like some other things like this, they believe that actually everything as it is right now is fine.
Yeah.
And it has always been fine. Yeah. And that like we create the narrative that like, oh no, the world's going to end, humanity's this, humanity's that, but they're all constructs of the mind.
Yeah.
And again, if you go sit outside right now in that silence, there is no American president, there is no social media, there is no so that's always been there and that will always be there, but like we don't get to experience that a lot.
No.
And
Yeah.
I think if we kind of become more aware to that, things will resolve themselves. But because we're so like involved in like trying to make something other than what's happening in the present, that's why we just keep getting caught in the trap of thinking we can fix humanity, we can fix the problems. But I don't see any problems, like on their perspective, on that perspective. Like, it's an interesting one to think about.
Yeah, it is an interesting way. And I think that, you know, our attention is the last commodity that's being bought and sold out there. It's a commodity. Our attention is being bought and sold. We're like the animals. We're like, well hunting, where they were like, now we're the hunted, and it's our attention. And they're creating those narratives, which creates the suffering, because none of it's true. It's not. Stuff's happening, that's true, but our reaction to it and the suffering is just our relationship to it. It's not, there is no inherent suffering. People are going through in their, you know, difficult and challenging things, but suffering is a distinction in language.
But it's also what makes you stronger.
Yeah.
In a way, like as long as you kind of learn the lesson from it, and you get out better than what you started. I think, I'm not saying I'm great, but the reason that I am sitting here right now, being able to be even in Europe, is because of my sufferings.
Yeah.
As it just comes back to what you said with the comfort and...
Yeah, that being with the uncomfortableness is so important. The uncomfortableness of not reaching for the phone. I mean, it's so uncomfortable now not to be with it's insane, but it's uncomfortable. I don't even use my phone much, and it's even uncomfortable for me. I walked out and I didn't have my phone. Walking 10 minutes to the gym, I was like, oh my, I don't have my phone. I'm not, I mean, and then I stepped back, I was like, oh my God, this is insane. I would be fine without my phone. I would survive in the world. One of the things I love about these are the kind of things that always makes me super excited, these synchronicities. I literally, a month ago, I'm going to give up coffee. And I had date seed coffee that I had bought at a bio shop. And so I started, I'm like, oh my gosh, how did I not know that this was like fabulous? So I started drinking it. Then I went to the bio shop. Oh, we don't carry that anymore. I'm like, oh my God. So I've literally been to every store in Hungary about date seed coffee. And then the distributor. And I'm thinking distributor. Those are the kind of things that I love, those synchronicities that line up, and that listening. Now, will we do anything with it? I don't know. But what I love is looking, for me, like what was been my success, looking for those connections and always looking. And it's amazing how often those show up in life.
And so many times we're kind of blind to it.
Totally.
Well. It does happen so many times. And then we lose it, then it happens again. We lose it, then it happens again. We lose it. I think that's what really creates the misery, when you don't get the messages.
Yeah. Yes, when you're not. And I think we make a mistake called we need to do something with them. I don't think that that's always the case. And I'm never like, oh, hey, I need to take action. I'm always amazed by and in wonder about how those show up. Another thing I've been thinking about is gay dating site doing matchmaking. We had a client in the United States that was doing matchmaking custom for, she was charging $250,000 to make a match. I was like, that's a really good business, and doing that. And then you have that as the background. I love how that kind of happens,
Online
So
dating
can you make me a matchmaker?
It's not like a matchmaking service. I guess
anything, Drew. Don't worry, we got this.
I mean, maybe we could. But yeah, like they're more like, it's different. I guess they're teaching men how to like be more confident and how to go up to a girl on the street and like have that.
Oh,
that sense
I gotcha.
Of, like,
classic.
Yeah, so teaching.
But it's not like we take a couple and match them together. But it's more like you have to find it yourself. but those skills are like applicable to women, to gay, straight, like, so
I think, well, that's with this clients, one of the things that she was doing is basically working with the clients to find that inner knowing for themselves, the inner confidence for themselves, to make themselves ready to attract whatever that ideal client was. And that was part of the whole process with it. I love that. All right, we want to dive a little deeper into practicality.
Yes.
oh yeah.
So,
But before we dive in there, because I have to mention this is not necessarily pick up. So the person who Harry's talking about is actually doing exactly what you said.
oh, yeah.
So they don't teach you lines and
Yeah,
do
yeah,
this
yeah.
and manipulate
Yeah.
and so on.
Yeah, how to, basically this client is you need to be the person you want to attract, right?
Yeah.
And you need to do that it's kind of what we've been talking, you need to do that inner work on yourself so you're ready for that kind of relationship and know that basically relationships are suffering.
It's absolutely
Period.
excruciating
As soon as you know that, you will have happy and successful relationships.
It's really interesting you say that.
Yeah.
What makes you say that?
Why would I say that? Because it's the people live in and are so groomed into the fantasy of what a relationship is and what it looks like, that when you're with a person and it doesn't match that, there is suffering. There doesn't have to be, but that is what causes the suffering. And then what happens is you start dancing to a narrative of what should be, and you stop dancing with that person right in front of you. And then the relationship's not about the relationship. It literally is about the suffering because of some unfulfilled expectation, some fantasy that you are actually fulfilled. Mm-hmm. So it is, most relationships are all suffering because it's one of the areas where we're most susceptible to the images out there. What does love look like? What should it be?
What is love?
Absolutely.
What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me. Okay,
classic.
yeah, we don't want to do singing. That's not good.
Yeah,
think
We just lost everybody. They're like, click. All right, so marketing, PR. Any practical questions I can answer for you?
I guess one question could be like, what mindset do you have to make more money, and like how can you change that, and how did it change for you?
Curiosity. You have to have curiosity and wonder have to be always present, I think, if you really want to make money. Yeah,
just like explain a bit more in detail.
Yeah, so you need to be open and curious about what's in front of you, what's showing up in front of you. Is this leading you on the path? If it's not, just like we talked about the date see coffee, right? It's a possibility, and I'm so curious and in wonder about it. And who knows, we may create a company and everything like that. That's how PR was for me. Like, I was in wonder, what could this do? What difference could this make? What relationships we formed over the 20 years. Curiosity, I think, is so important. And always, if you want to go to the Buddhist, which you brought up, always having a beginner's mind.
Yeah.
Always having a beginner's mind.
Free of concepts.
Once you know, I think it shuts down all kinds of possibilities. And I think you can know once you're successful, but in the beginning, I think it's particularly detrimental.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's something that, like Elon Musk knows something about business and has something to say about business. But if you're just starting out, it's best that you not know.
Right.
Yeah. So that is, and then I think also it's really important to surround yourself with people that are going to challenge you. Not like-minded people, challenge you.
Yeah.
And say, oh, that's a really bad idea. What are you thinking? And also encouraging, oh, that's really great. That could be cool. And this is how I could see it working over here. But community is super important. And I think that's a place where a lot of young people, I think, are kind of, because I think it's important that it's not just a online community. I think physically you need a community around you.
It's like there's something about that energy when
Yep.
you're next to the person.
Yeah.
It's like nothing can replace it.
No.
It's like buy their scent, or it just you can't really do that.
You can't like this is great, and online's amazing, and it opens up and has allowed me to work from anywhere in the world, but it is not the same as having a group of people, and I miss that. That is something I've absolutely been thinking about, is creating a community of people. I think that would be really cool to have conversations, even if you're not doing the same business, but regular conversations, I think would be super cool. It's what I want to do with an office that we have, I think, is just turning it into a community. We talked about that when we were doing doTERRA, is doing regular meetings there about that. And I feel that's important. So mindset, curiosity, wonder, I think is really great. Openness.
A lot of the time for me, like, I feel like I had success because I had a creative idea, but I wasn't like open to more ideas. I was open to like changing my idea, or I was open to like letting go of something.
There's one thing in your book. It's like there's in a chapter in your book that says having too many ideas is a bad idea.
Yeah, I call OCD, overly creative disorder.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of people that, particularly entrepreneurs, they just get stifled, and they think they need to act on an idea. What people don't understand, ideas are a dime a dozen. That's not where success lies. It's the implementation is 90% of it. So while you have a good idea, it doesn't mean that you should act on it. You've got to be very discerning in where you put your energy and what actions are going to move you further, closer to really what you want to achieve.
80-20 principle?
Probably. For me, probably it's like 10-90. Yeah, we, as a company, we have taken on way too many things, like just, oh, this is a great idea. Oh, this is a great idea. And then we invest so much time, energy, and everything, and nothing happens. It's also important that you have a balanced team around you, that people do the things that give them energy. Like I love the ideas and kind of the discernment, good or bad or anything, but putting them in existence and managing them, just no, please, no, rip my fingernails out.
Do you know, like one thing that we're noticing now, growing our agency, is that finding the right people, I think is the biggest challenge of any business. Is that true?
Absolutely.
And it doesn't even matter what job they have. We just want to have like decent people around.
Yeah.
Like,
the reason that we're successful is because we have an extraordinary team of people. And my philosophy has been, there's two kind of philosophies. The bus is going here, you get the people on to take you to this destination, or you get all these cool people on the bus and see where the bus is going to go. And we've always been the latter. Like, we'll just get cool people on and just see where this is going to take us.
Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't work out. We found it's actually easier over here than in the United States to find great people. That's just, I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm here physically and there's something about that, or I don't know. But yeah, it's super important. I mean, that's the success of a company. Great people.
How do you know if this is the time for you to quit or push harder when you actually face a challenge in your business?
How do you know? That is one of those things where there is no right answer. It is checking in with yourself, that going into the silence and really listening as much as you can, quiet everything, and just listen for what is the best choice for you. And it depends on where you are. It depends on so many different things that it's really an internal kind of looking for yourself, I would say. I know it's kind of nebulous, but there's no like formula. Yeah.
Like, if you had to build a new team like right now, how would you do it? And what's the best way to like meet decent people?
What how would I do it right now?
Yeah.
So what am I trying to create? Let's do a scenario. Like what am I trying to create?
So like, say you're trying to create a team of an agency with
Yep.
different people.
Yep.
Or like a YouTube channel or something like that.
Yeah. So right now what I would do is I would go to my immediate community and I'd say, hey, I'm looking for XYZ, and start having conversations in my direct community is what I would do. That's how I would start. Yeah. So if I were, oh my God, he's so cute. Yeah, I would start having conversations, but the truth is that people just kind of show up for me.
Yep.
So there is a okay. So as we're speaking and as I'm getting to know you more,
Yeah.
there is this essence of a spirituality in you.
Mm-hmm.
How do you define that? Like, do you believe in a source, and do you believe in the flow of life, which you do?
Mm-hmm.
And how do you actually manage that with? How do you balance your life with your spirituality and living your life as a business owner?
I think that it is that as much as possible, getting out of my head, being in silence is, for me, where spirituality resides. It's in that silence that the magic happens. And so it's as much as I can, quieting the chatter and being present in the moment with whatever I'm doing. Like, be here now is how I balance it. Is that I don't have any like practice, like I don't do any practice per se. I do listen to a woman called Oracle Girl. I think I don't even know what I wouldn't call him, because she says it's not teaching. She's just like a mirror for me to return me to myself, like nothing else. Yeah.
And would you like to say talk about the hot tub story?
Oh, that was just once again it was the serendipity. It's the serendipity of life. You know, I was working for a .com company in Denver, all these super hippies, and they were like, "Oh, you got to go to Crestone. There's this naked hot tubs. It's extraordinary. I mean, it's a beautiful place." I was like, "Oh, okay, good." So I'm there in this nudist thing, and I was there and ended up with an astrologist, and I was really trying to sort out life. And I was in the hot tub with him and his girlfriend and some other guy, I don't know. And he said, "What's your birthday?" And I'm like, "Oh, whatever." I mean, because it's like midnight or something in the hot tub with a bunch of naked hippies. And I told him, and it was interesting because he started to like lay out like what was going on with me and really what was before me. And it was really in that moment, I believe, that I quit and went back and started my company. But once again, it all comes down to those kind of moments in life and listening in the most random of places. Yeah.
What I like about this conversation is that every conversation we're having is coming back to listening, silence. It's like whatever we talk, it always comes back to this.
That's it. That's all there really. That really is all. The to-doingness doesn't really make a difference. I know that we can talk about a bazillion techniques and tips, and I know gurus out there try to do that, but it always comes back to that: trusting yourself, listening to yourself, and then making choices, and then making choices, and then making choices. See how it goes. Did it work? Did it not? Go great. So your answer is, when is it time to quit or push harder? Like, make a step and see what happens. Is it giving you back what you want? No. Okay, good. Make a different choice. And maybe the choice is backing off, or maybe it's moving forward, but it's always being aware of like what's coming back to me.
I think what's really important is for everybody to just not feel like they're stuck in something.
Yeah.
I think that's what just like gives you the relaxation and the freedom. That's how I felt when I was in a relationship that I wasn't happy in.
Yeah.
I felt stuck, therefore I couldn't move on.
Yeah.
And in the moment I was like, wait, I'm not stuck.
Right.
Everything changed. And then again, Drew, it's like, okay, got it. The conversation can change everything. Okay, let's sit down. And then I realized, actually, she's been feeling like that for the last 2 years too.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just me.
Right.
It was also her, but I had to be the one who initiated it.
Yeah, in life, that's generally the case, isn't it? When you just open your mouth, miracles happen. Just communicate what's there for you.
Like,
just stuff happens. That's it. Yeah. And that's like, you know, how do you find the team? It's communicating like, hey, I have this idea. I have this possibility. Hey, great. I want to form a team. You know, I want to form a social media team. Oh, great. I know these people. Da, 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 da. And then look and see who shows up kind of to the party, and then from there decide what you're going to actually do as a company. Yeah.
Just some more technical questions.
Yeah.
We're about to do some cold calls.
Love it. Brilliant. Dial and smile, baby.
Yeah.
It's the access to life.
8 minutes more on this card.
Okay. So like, I mean, we've taken a course in and everything.
Yeah.
But we also understand that things have changed.
Sure.
And these guys probably get a cold call every second day anyway. So how could we actually stand out doing this?
Who are you cold calling?
Potential clients.
Tell me about
Could be anywhere from gyms to restaurants to people like who started up their own businesses.
Uh-huh.
Like that's the thing with social media stuff. It could be anyone, but we're probably focusing restaurants, gyms, cafes, like businesses like this.
Okay, good. And you're gonna cold call them.
Gonna cold call them. Yeah.
Uh-huh. And what are you gonna try to enroll them in?
Social media marketing. I mean, not marketing, basically content creation, organic growth.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, mainly. That's what we want to focus on.
Because we're gonna have the inside knowledge that we know that one, they're not using Facebook ads. Two, the social media is not gonna be looking as it should. So we already know what they need.
And we already have the case studies that we are able to get them the views and so on.
Yeah.
I wouldn't cold call. Well, here's the reason I wouldn't cold call. It is because you're a social media marketing company cold calling. I would figure out through social media how to market to them as a demonstration of who you are and what you do.
So in a way, like, show them something that's possible, make that viral, and then reach out to them?
I'd enroll them in things. Yes, yes. I would enroll them in something, but I would use social media to absolutely do that. The reason I did cold calling because at that time, that's what our company did. We phoned the media. It was aligned. It's not that you can't test it. I'd be surprised if that worked, but I've been surprised a lot. But I would do, if it were me, I'd pick a vertical. It's a restaurant. And then I think acknowledgement is really super great. Oh, hey, great. I see on social media that it's your 10-year anniversary, whatever it is. Great, perfect. Are you fully leveraging that? We'd love to really help you. That's amazing. That's extraordinary. Oh, wow. You've got this on the menu. That's really great. Here's a market. Have you thought about this? So you're providing value with them inside of the conversation. What we do is we work with authors. So we go and we find out what books are being produced, and we just acknowledge them for creating their book. Like, great, thanks for writing your book. Thanks for making our world different. And they're like, oh, hey, I need a PR company. Let's chat. That's our strategy. And I think if you found something similar like that, that would be a great way to create that kind of funnel. But I think acknowledgement's really cool.
Knowing the business inside out.
Look, that's why niching is so important. Great. Let's say vegan restaurants, right? Oh my God, you've got a great vegan pizza. This is so great for the community.
It's good for the cows.
It's good for the cows. It's good for the cow, whatever it is. But getting to know that market and everything, and phoning is so difficult. And I don't know if it would, but you could try it. I think it would be a little off.
So sorry, I'm a noob. How would you practically suggest that outreach to be not cold calling? like for us as a social media marketing agency?
Oh, so I'm talking about actually the phone.
I understood that.
Yeah, but you can you can actually. So how do you have it be not cold calling? What do you mean?
So like you said, you wouldn't cold call if you were us.
Right.
So what would you actually like?
What I would actually do. So if I was going into the social media marketing for restaurants, I would pay attention and I'd identify the 100 restaurants that I want. I'd watch their social media, and whatever they shared, I'd acknowledge that and actually demonstrate how they could actually make use that to actually inside social media to make a difference for their business.
And how do you project that onto them? Via what?
Oh, how do I contact them?
Yeah.
Direct messages, DMs.
DMs.
I'd connect with them and then DM them. I'd find out who the person is accountable for marketing. I'd form a relationship with them. That's what I would do.
I see.
The reason why I think it would work is because everyone does that,
Mm-hmm.
and it's the easy option.
Yep.
And to have like a phone call of a decent person,
Yep.
might be different.
It may be.
But
It may
maybe
be.
you're right.
It may be. The for me, what I would be left with is, why are you calling me if you're a social media? Why aren't you using what you're promoting? Why haven't you captured my attention with social media? That would be for me if you were contacting me. I don't know about that. Also, I know people just are not using phones anymore. And if these people are 40 or under, it's just very challenging. I would try it though, okay? I'm not saying don't try it. I just would be curious about it. And this, I'd set a parameter for myself. Great, I'm gonna do 100 calls.
Yep.
And with this, like really down to make a decision so you don't go too far down. But if you're a social media marketing company, I would like you to wow me in social media. I would want you to walk the talk, not cold calling me. That's what I would want as a business owner.
And like, so this is the interesting part. It's kind of like, it's an irony. We don't own a social media. We just do it for other people. So, because what are we going to talk about on social media?
You need a social media account. You have to. And you have to connect with them through them. So what you want to talk about is, you can be talking about what's working in the industry, be a voice of the industry, what's really working, why building relationships are the great thing, create your shtick, whatever it is. Like ours is Conversations Change the World. Mm-hmm. You know, we work with people committed to making a difference, and we leverage that in the whatever it is for you inside of that. But you need social media in order to connect with them that way.
And what is it that actually makes a company landing, or let's say makes in a freelancer landing a higher client? How do I rephrase this? What is it that allow a company land a big client, a big fish? Like, is this them? Results.
Yeah. It's really difficult to go in and land we're done.
So we can answer this question and then we'll swap this card.
So and this is like at your you go for it.
So I think you have to if you want a really large client, then I think you have to demonstrate results. That is a big deal with that. Most companies tend to try to overcharge in the beginning because they don't have the track record. What you want to create a package that's super easy for people to say yes to. Mm-hmm. So I feel yes. I think that people are waking up to, they really want more than this synthetic artificial life. They want to feel like there's a human being communicating with them, not something that's already created. So your question is what would I recommend to someone to get out of the rat race?
Yeah. What would your escape plan be now if you were like 22, like not sure what you want to do, working in Starbucks, like, but you really want to make it, but you don't know what to do? What would your escape plan be?
I would get certified as a breath therapist. And then I would start doing offline and online sessions to teach people how to breathe. Then I would bring in doTERRA, which is a multi-level marketing company, essential oils that have a whole line around breathing. That would help me to actually build recurring revenue as I'm seeing my breath clients. And I would just stay focused on that, building my clients, and I would also have the recurring revenue. I would definitely find a mentor, someone that's kind of been through it, that kind of walks me through. I wouldn't like do guru or internet marketing. I wouldn't do any of that. I would really find someone that I had a connection with that wanted to help me. So those would be the things that I would do if I was starting over.
And what are the businesses now that you think that makes the most money, that is actually achievable for a person?
Well, I think that the easiest to really start is service companies, right? Where you're providing a service for people. Product companies are super difficult. And if you want to go in the product, I like product, but you need to come up with something that handles the manufacture and the distribution. I do like multi-level marketings. And if I market companies, if I was going to start over from scratch, I definitely probably would get into doTERRA and I would hit that really hard. That's what I would do, focusing on one product line.
And
with them.
if wasabi didn't exist, that's what you would do?
I would. If wasabi didn't exist, I would become a breath practitioner. I would do teach people how to breathe, do individual sessions, do group sessions, and then what I would do is I would supplement those with the breath products in doTERRA to build my downline and help get people in that to do that. And then I would, I'd just have weekly meetings, invite people to the community event.
So like in basic form, apply that to another thing, for example, would be like learn a skill.
Yep.
Use that skill to coach while simultaneously collaborating with other companies who have products, and then
Affiliate marketing in a way.
And then affiliate and use what would the last step be?
So for me, I think that is the step. So you just keep building your practice, coaching individuals. Then once you've mastered individuals, groups, right? And then you could I think it's better to do that than going straight to online products. That's just my belief. I think that jumping right to online products, until you've mastered something, I don't think it's the best step. And then, some kind of an affiliate where you can do the recurring revenue, because I think that's really smart for someone to set that up in life. I mean, I wish that I had done it. We have a little bit of it because we've got a technology that we sell, but I wish I would thought about that now, because then I'd have a recurring revenue stream. That's what I would do if I was young starting out.
I was going to say it's crazy because everyone's trying to do online, which creates such a demand for like real people who are like editing or coaching. So like, again, we go back from like the online thing to the real actual wealth, which is in skills and like people actually doing things like physically. Which is interesting.
It is. I think that, what you summarize it quite well, which is really you find that skill, you market that skill, and then you just master that skill as you go along, and starting offline and then starting online. So many people try to jump the steps. Like, I see people that are just starting out and then basically they're trying to charge these insane prices and everything. Get your case studies, start working with clients, start building, your portfolio. I think that's the best way to do it. And I think online, offline simultaneously is really good, because I think you hone your skill better when you're working, like something like breath therapy. I think is better one-on-one to then move to online, I think.
Yeah, but the thing with the breath therapy is that everybody will need it. It's like applies to
everybody will need it. Yes, you should definitely get certified as a breath therapist.
Me?
Yeah.
Is this like a direct?
It's like, I'm like telling you, this is how we're going to make $1 billion.
All right, I'm on it. Some pranayama and some this and this.
It is. So for me, why I'm choosing that is you're absolutely right. everybody needs it, right? And I think it is one of those things that people are just waking up to. We don't know how to breathe. We are mouth breathers and we're meant to be nose breathers. And I think that it's one of those things that, in 5-10 years, everybody will be talking about it. So I think hopping on that bandwagon now would be great. And that's why I think having a community also would be really super cool in that.
Something funny. Did you know actually telling someone a mouth breather is an insult?
No.
It is. Actually, some people use it.
Wow.
They say you mouth breather.
Your mouth breather. Well, it's true, right?
I mean, it kind of means like you're living an unconscious life.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah. It is. I didn't know that. I love that. Mouth breather. I learn something new every day. Yeah. So yeah.
Just the last thing.
And the other thing, one thing is community. Get a community around you too. I think that's super important in that equation, right? You need the mentor, but a community around you that are doing cool. It doesn't even need to be the exact thing. So if I was doing what we just outlined, I would become a breath therapist, market doTERRA, but I would have weekly free breathing sessions that everyone would come to on a weekly basis that the community could participate in as a structure for keeping it in existence. Because it's hard when you're on your own, particularly to keep that in existence, particularly when you have a 9-to-5 and you're doing this simultaneously.
Yep.
Yeah. So community is super important there. Yeah.
It could also be online as well.
For
YouTube
sure.
channel, like the community, a live stream, like.
Exactly, right?
You've got to give something out for free, I guess.
Yeah.
As well, like.
Yeah. I think they're basics. It's about what value you want to provide, finding your audience and delivering it to them in cool and creative ways, and finding your support structure to support you in that process.
Awesome. And tell us about your book as well.
What would you like to know about my book?
Well,
other than
I know
so cute?
this is cutie, yeah. So I know that you're basically gifting our viewers with the ebook.
Right.
Yeah. So what can they expect in this book?
So here's the thing about this book, Destination Aha, Becoming Unstuck in Life and Business. I wrote this about a decade ago. And what I think this is a good basic starter if you're just kind of delving into this new conscious world and being present and checking in with yourself, right? It's a great starter book, I feel, for that. To kind of actually have you think about things differently, particularly if you're stuck and you don't know why you're stuck. I think it's particularly good for people to read this book. There's exercises in there. Yeah, that's right.
Oh, thank you, Drew,
You're welcome.
for gifting that. And one last thing.
Yes.
Anything you would like to say as a last thing?
A plug.
A plug?
Say,
No,
message to the world.
Oh, yeah. So let's see. What do I want to say? So I think that this is for you guys. I think that forming an online community that gives that support to people is something that you guys should really consider doing. And if you want to throw up a page and you want to do a community, we can actually do it. We can do weekly or monthly, whatever, to get that community of people together to support. And I'm happy to participate and be part of the conversation, I think, but I think that would be great for the community to do that.
Yep.
However you want to connect people, because people that are listening to this and listening, you guys, I think there's an extraordinary opportunity for them to kind of join you in your quest.
That's it. Thrive Odyssey is all about that. Right? We're on this journey to thrive together.
Yeah. So my plug would be for you guys to actually, start forming a community now for people to go along with you in the journey, and then anything that I can provide for you guys along the way, I'm happy to provide.
Thank you very much. Yeah, that's basically what we call Thrive Tribe. Is coming out later.
Thrive Tribe. I love that.
Yeah.
Why is it coming out later? How come it's not coming out today?
Because we just, it's coming out today. You guys want to sign up?
You should so for sure, when this is airing and everything, you should have a sign-up page at least for people that are interested.
That is true. Okay, there's going to be a Google Doc down below in the description. And if you think this is something that's actually calling you, then sign up.
I love that. Good. Thrive Tribe.
And we're actually thinking about ecstatic dances, sitting down, conversations, like we saw, like going to hikes or anything, just like some art therapy, any random thing. And what we really want to do with that is to make it non-hierarchical. So anybody could actually come with an offer and actually offer something to the community, which is helping everybody to empower and share their gifts.
Great. Well, if people sign up and you would like, I'm happy to, we've got a 21-day PR action guide, which walks people through step-by-step how to launch a PR campaign. Happy to do that for free with anyone in the program if you want that.
Beautiful.
Sounds
Awesome.
great.
Thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
coming.
My pleasure. Thank you guys.
Yes.
It's been brilliant.